we're still here on the ferry from Java there to, you can't see it, I can see it, to Sumatra. Okay, in the north, south-north, right? So why am I wanting to record in this direction? Because this is now in the westerly direction. The island of Krakatau, you can't see it from here. There's an island, but that's not the island of Krakatau. So behind this island, not far behind this island, is the island, or what's left of the island of Krakatau. Now, for those who know anything about volcanoes, they will know that Krakatau is a very famous, or maybe infamous, volcano for the huge destruction it caused, not only this part of the world, but actually all the way even creating a mini ice age there in Europe, tens of thousands of kilometers away from here. Okay? So why I want to say that is just the fact that that island is so far from Europe. The Europeans didn't know about that island, but that island had a huge, that volcano, eruption of that volcano, had a huge effect even on them there, thousands of kilometers, tens of thousands of kilometers, well actually, maybe 10,000 kilometers, maybe more, from here, okay? So they would not have known, but it still has. So it's a bit like everything that is happening in this chapter and everything that Jesus did, okay? It happened centuries ago, but the effects of it, although we were not there to see it. We were not like Peter standing at the fire, seeing this. Not the high priest inside the court, not John. I don't know, no idea where John was hiding out in all of this. Okay, but you can go and to a church here and you can see the effects of that. Okay, you can look at your own life and you can see the effects of that. So even if you can't go back in, and this is not blind faith, you can see the effects of, okay, the effects ultimately of what happened in this chapter, with Jesus going into this and with Peter standing there and with, well, I mean, just, okay, so even though we live thousands of years, 2,000 years later after Jesus, okay, we still experience the effects of that. We can see the effects of Jesus, his being, his existence around us, just like, even though those people in Krakatau, or the people in Europe did not know about Krakatau, but they, thousands of kilometers away, they felt the effect of that. Okay, that is just distance-wise, but I'm now speaking more in time-wise. But time and distance in a certain sense, because this happened in Israel, and it's kind of a lot closer to Europe than we are now at this moment. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to point that out, since we are now kind of, I think it's just behind this island, a little bit out there, that is Krakatau. I don't think it's possible to see it from here, not from this ferry. It's kind of as well interesting fact why some say they don't build a bridge between Java and Sumatra on this side. I mean, they could build a bridge from Java to that island, from that island to this island. That's not so far, and from that island to another island, and then ultimately to Sumatra. But they say because of Java, okay, so it might, Java Krakatau, since it once exploded, erupted, it can erupt again, and then all of this will be lost, and then kind of, yeah, maybe, I don't know. NSMB is pretty deep here. Okay, so let's continue. John 18, verse 19. The high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. Okay, I mean, yeah, right. So why did they question? Why did they question him ultimately? It's because they were looking not to learn, they were looking for things to use against him. So his fifth amendment right for those Americans, we see it in the movies, plead my fifth. No, you're not going to give any evidence against yourself, kind of. You're not going to appear in court. I mean, you're in court, but you're not going to give evidence against yourself. Okay, and but they are now looking, and Jesus is not, okay, no, I'm pleading the fifth year, kind of. He's an American, he's not living in this time, etc., etc. Okay, so he is going to answer them. Verse 20, Jesus answered him, I have spoken openly to the world. I've always taught in the synagogues and in the temple, where all Jews come together. I have said nothing in secret. Okay, so I'm just reading this, I'm like thinking myself, there's a sad kind of part about the fact that We don't see like a author might write and he said with a pain in his voice, maybe a very tired, exhausting voice speaking softly that they had to listen up to hear. And then, I mean, I would know how to read this, right? But in this case, it's not stated. We just see the answer. So we need to try from ultimately the context to maybe try and imagine what Jesus would have felt at that moment. So what would he have felt? Okay, he's tired. He hasn't slept for a long time. Okay, so he's exhausted. Sure, he knows where all of this is going. He has been teaching them so long. I mean, is there sense of desperation? No, I don't think Jesus was desperate because he gave his life. They didn't take it from him. So I think mostly just a calm, although knowing he's going to die, not resigned because he gave his life. So like a calm, tired, most likely voice. Okay, so just I spoke openly. I didn't hide. I didn't, like I'm standing here now. I'm putting this in camera and then I'll put it on the video on YouTube, and I'm not hiding this. I can't hide anymore. Okay. If one day I want to apply for a visa or to go to certain places, certain countries in the world where they don't like Christianity, they might just look at my video and say, no, we're not letting you in. Okay, and that's that. I understand it. Okay, they're right. Okay, I think they're wrong, but they're right. Wrong because we need to be able to listen to voices that disagree with our own. Okay, but again, that is as well kind of. He like I speak openly here. Jesus spoke openly. He wasn't hiding anything, right? He was not hiding anything. He taught them openly. He said, he taught them in the synagogues, in the temple. I mean, in the temple. So in the synagogues where we read, said that today the scriptures are filled up in the synagogue. In the temple where we taught them, we did miracles and the signs. Okay, and for those Christians who only believe in house churches, right? The synagogue is not a house church, and the temple for sure is not a house church. So if Jesus taught openly in synagogues and in temples, I don't know why you are so stuck up on only my little cell group and that is now a church. That just shows you don't know history, right? But we'll get to Acts, and then I'll get back to this topic. But for now, I just want to say, stop saying, our house church is the only right way. When Jesus taught in that temple, okay, a huge, what we call a church, like the Peter and Paul Cathedral there in St. Peter's there in Rome, the Vatican, right? For example, Paul Fortress Cathedral in St. Petersburg. But although this is not this big church, it's just where all the tsars been buried. St. Isaac's, for example, in St. Petersburg, or St. Paul's there in London. Okay, these kinds of places, Jesus did. Okay, but they only had one temple. That's the synagogues, still not house churches. And places where all the Jews came together. This was the place. He wasn't hiding away from them. He didn't say anything in secret. I didn't say anything in secret. Okay, I'm not standing here, for example, and saying, okay, these guys, the Reformed people are the best and the Charismatics the worst, or the Reformed people are always wrong because they only love God with their hearts, and the Charismatics are always right because they have such a great, joyful kind of experimental love for God kind of idea, right? Depending on I'm not doing that. I speak out at all the groups for what is wrong. You can't only love God with your heart, and you can't only love God with your mind. You need to love Him with both heart and mind. Okay, so this is Jesus. I did nothing in secret.